Hey guys, Anthony Pietrobono here, online coach. For today's video, we have a Q&A on all about how to gain lean muscle tissue. So I'm going live here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Starting off, I'm going to be going over what we're going to go over quickly. So we're going to talk about exactly all of the nutrition and training that we need to be having organized to actually be gaining muscle efficiently, lean muscle tissue. So not that you're eating too much to be getting too much fat, and not so that you're training improperly and you're not gaining that strength and muscle tissue. So this video is going to be all about the most common questions on how to gain the most amount of lean muscle tissue the fastest with training and nutrition. So we're only going on over training and nutrition right now. Right off the bat, I'm just going to jump right into it. Thanks for joining us, guys, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Here we're just talking about exactly how you can go ahead to gain the most amount of lean muscle tissue through your training and your nutrition. So we're starting off. First question is exactly how do you figure out how many calories you need to be consuming? So we're going to talk about how many calories you need to consume to gain the most amount of lean muscle tissue. So for that, what you need to do is you can use a calorie calculator to estimate exactly how many calories you need to be consuming. And then once you calculate how many calories roughly you should be consuming, then you know everything's all set, and you can try that number and weigh yourself daily. So this is where it's going to come in handy, because the calorie calculator is just an estimate. You can follow that. You can there's a bunch of them out there. You can even search ifitfitsyourmacros.com. They have a great estimated macro calculator. So to figure out how many calories you want to consume, you're going to put in some stats and you're going to figure out how many calories you need to consume. Once you have that number of how many, let's say it says that you need to be consuming around 3,000 calories per day to be gaining half a pound of tissue on a weekly basis. Then if you're having that 3,000 a day, you're going to want to hit that 3,000 number every single day, and then weigh yourself every single day, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and keep track of exactly how many times you're actually hitting that weigh-in, and you're going to calculate the average weigh-in from that week and compare it to the previous week. So if you compare those weekly averages, that's what you're going to see if you're actually gaining the right amount of weight. Obviously, if you weigh yourself every single day and you're consuming the 3,000 calories with your training, and you see that you're not gaining the half a pound a week on average, once you've calculated the 7-day average, then you know you need to be adjusting. So if you're not gaining enough, let's say you only gained 0.3 pounds on average from the next week from that previous week, then you need to up that intake clearly to make sure you get that 0.5 pound that you're aiming for. Ideally, you do want to aim for half a pound to 1 pound a week max when you're trying to gain muscle, because any more than that and you're going to be gaining too much fat. Once you have that out of the way, then you can just up your intake to next week. You can do 3,200. You can try 3,200 calories from 3,000, and hopefully that will get you that 0.5 pounds that you're looking for. If again you didn't gain 0.5, then you can adjust it from there. So use the calorie calculator to figure out how many calories you need to consume. Once you have that number, you want to track using any any app to track. You can use MyFitnessPal, tons of them out there. Use a food scale to weigh your foods. Hit those numbers for a week. See how your body weight adjusted in that week, and then either reduce your intake or increase your intake to make sure you're getting the right amount of calories to gain that 0.5 pounds per week. So that's how many calories you need to be consuming to gain the most amount of muscle. After that, once you figured out how many calories, and the actually second most common question I got when I put this out last week was, how do you figure out how many macros, how much of each macronutrient you need to be consuming? So once you know how many calories you want to consume, you want to figure out the macronutrient ratios. So what's going to come next for your macro split? So pretty much, the question was, what's the best macro split to gain the most amount of lean muscle tissue? With your macros, what you're going to be wanting to do is you want to set your protein first. So you always want to set the protein to right around 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 180 pounds, then you want to set it to 180 grams of protein. If you're in a fat loss phase, you want to have your protein higher than 1 gram to make up for the loss in energy. But we're talking about how to gain lean muscle tissue. So you're going to be in a caloric surplus, a slight surplus, because you need to be eating slightly more than your body needs to gain muscle. If you're eating slightly less than your body needs just to maintain your body weight, then you have no reason for your body to actually be able to repair and build those muscles bigger and better than they were previously. So first off, you need to be in a caloric surplus. Then when it comes to your macros, 1 gram per pound for protein. So setting protein, 1 gram per pound. That's for protein. Once you set that, let's say you're at 180 grams. After that, you can go ahead and set your fats. After that, you can set your fats, 180 grams of protein. Then for your fats, you're going to want to set it to, as a rule of thumb, 1/4 gram to 1/2 gram of fats per gram of body weight. So again, if you're 180 pounds, half of that would be 90. So a quarter would be 45 grams. So for fats, you're going to keep it at 45 grams to 90 grams. So now you have your fat set and you have your protein set. Protein is 4 calories per gram, and then fats are 9 calories per gram. So what you're going to do is, if you chose 90 grams of fat, then you're going to multiply 90 times 9, and you're going to multiply 180 times 4. Once you get those numbers, then let's say your total calories was supposed to be 3,000, and let's say you multiplied these numbers, and you ended up getting like 1,600 calories from adding up those numbers. That means you have 1,400 calories left for carbohydrates. So if you're eating 3,000 a day, you have 1,400 calories left. You're going to fill the rest of your macronutrients with carbs. So now what you're going to do is, carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. You're going to take 1,400 and you're going to divide it by 4 to get the amount of carbohydrates that you're supposed to be consuming throughout the day. So that can be anywhere, that's about probably like 360 grams. So now you have your calories. So if you're eating 3,000 calories a day, your macros are going to be 180 grams of fat, 45 to 90 grams, 90 grams of fat in this case. So 90 grams of fat, 180 protein, and it'll be about 360 grams of carbs. And there's your macros if you're eating 3,000 calories a day. So if you're eating 3,000, 180 grams of protein, 90 grams of fat, 360 grams of carbs, just to gain lean muscle tissue fast. So that's the best macronutrient split. So rules of thumb, to go over this, 1 gram per pound of body weight to set your protein, 1/4 gram to 1/2 gram for your fats, and then fill the rest with carbohydrates. So in this case, it'll be about 360 grams. Those are your macros. That's how you set your macros. And you figure that out after you figure out how many calories you need to consume, like I just went over in that previous question. So once you got that all set, the next most common question I got was, when's the best time to train? So best time for training, it's going to come down to you personally. So it's going to come down to your personal routine, when you have the time available, and it's going to come down to when you're eating, to what your eating schedule is like. So best time to train. For an example, if you notice that you're most tired later on in the day, then obviously ideally you wouldn't want to train later on in the day. Most people like to train early on in the morning before they have gone through the day, so actually they're fresh, wake up to have an hour, have a meal, a quick digesting meal, and then train right then. So the best time to train is completely individualized. There is no best time to train other than whatever best time works for you, or even the best time you can actually get in the workout. So that's a quick one to answer there. Completely individualized. There is no best time to train. All depends on your schedule, your lifestyle, when you prefer to train, and then depending on what you're eating in those time periods. And then next question we have is, how do you know if you're overtraining? So how do I know if I'm overtraining? That's a great question. So to figure out if you're overtraining, what you want to do is keep track of your progress. So when you're trying to gain muscle, then you can keep track of all the weights you're using on a weekly basis. And if you're noticing, number one, your weights aren't progressing, then one, that's a clear sign that you could be doing too much volume. So if you're doing too much volume, then you won't be able to progress your weights on a weekly basis. And also, if you notice that you're getting some aches and pains that you didn't previously have, or if you're also noticing that you're getting some brain fog because your nervous system is shot from too much volume, where you can't be thinking as properly, you're losing motivation, keys like that. So when you're losing motivation to go to the gym, you're feeling too much aches and pains, it could be a sign of overtraining. Too much pressure in your joints and ligaments could be a great sign of overtraining. And also if you're not progressing. So you should be progressing your weights on a weekly basis, or at least every other week. If you're not, take a step back, reassess your training. Try having a deload week. Deloads are pretty essential to have every 6 to 8 weeks if you can. Pull back on your training. You want to half your training volume. Pull back on your intensity. Don't train near failure for about a week or even 2 weeks, and then dive back into your training. See how you feel. That's what I would do if you're feeling some overtraining symptoms. And that's pretty much the key for that one. So again, just make sure that you are progressing at least every week or every other week, and you should be progressing in your weights in the gym because you're consuming more calories than your body needs in that muscle gaining phase. So with how to gain lean muscle tissue, it's very important you're not eating too many calories to be gaining that muscle, because most of it's going to spill over to be fat. That's why you're going to be calculating that with those previous questions. So that covers the most common questions I got from the previous week, guys. Thanks for submitting those questions last week. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Hope you guys found some value from this. And if you have more specific questions, or if you have any questions in general, you're going to want to post on either of the platforms. So on YouTube, you can just post a comment below for the questions for the next series. It can be anything to do with training, nutrition. It doesn't have to be to do with muscle gain. It can be to do with fat loss. This specific scenario, we were talking about how to gain the most lean muscle tissue with optimizing your training and your nutrition, because those are the most common questions I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, guys. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Thanks for watching on Facebook and on Instagram. And I'll see you guys next time. Leave some questions if you have any questions below. All right, take care. I'll see you next time.